This week, Emile and Z join us from Cordoba and Morales. Will talks about his trip to Cuba. And our Stogies of the Week will include Leaf by Oscar, Camacho pre-embargo, Ashton, and more. So stay tuned. This is a Security Weekly production. Brought to you by paying homage to the Mecca of tobacco, Pinar del Rio, Cuba. Abe Flores opened his PDR cigar factory in the Dominican Republic over 10 years ago. Abe is one of the hottest boutique cigar makers in the industry today, earning the number 10 spot on Cigar Aficionado's top 25 cigars of 2014 with the Abe Flores 1975 Serie Privada. Abe and his team use Cuban blending traditions in a modern boutique Dominican factory. Smoke PDR cigars and cut, light, and taste what they love to do. M. Bombay cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. M. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays the detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera, M. Bombay Mora, and the recently released M. Bombay Habana. M. Bombay cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. I love that I get to smoke cigars and call it work.
Hey, Paul.
What's going on, cigar newbie?
I'm halfway through this cigar you gave me, and I was wondering if I could put it out and save it for later.
No.
Well, I wanted to try the Liga Privada with the Connecticut wrapper, and I was wondering where I could get some of those.
Yeah, so those don't exist.
Well, I also have some of the cigars you gave me from before, and I was wondering if I could store them in my refrigerator.
Only if you're going to eat them.
Don't be like Mark. Subscribe to Stogie Geeks Shorts with Paul and Will, a 10-minute show about all things cigar smoking. We provide tips and tricks on humidification, cigar storage, mini reviews on select cigars, accessories, and more. Stogie Geeks Shorts is one-stop shopping for learning about which cigars to smoke and the right way to cut, light, and store your favorite stogies. You can watch Stogie Geeks Shorts on our YouTube channel or subscribe using your favorite podcast app. For all the latest episodes, visit stogieshorts.tv.
Hey, Paul, this cigar is awesome, and I wanted to share it with you, and I was going to cut it in half.
Oh, boy. You need to watch Stogie Geeks Shorts. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Azarias, broadcasting live from the Villiger North American Studios, where there's been a lot going on. I have to fill you in, Will, because Will is on the lines via Skype from North Carolina. Welcome, Will. Oh, I can't hear you, Will. You got to unmute yourself there. You're rusty at this podcast thing.
Hey,
there you are.
Hey, Paul.
Welcome back.
Rusty.
Welcome back to the States and everything. We're going to talk a little bit about your trip to Cuba. Dude, you missed so much. I haven't even been able to get you caught up on all the things that have been happening. There's some hilarity. So the commercial that we ran for Stogie Geek Shorts just now, you know, when Mark turns to me in the commercial and goes, I'm looking for the Liga Privada with the Connecticut wrapper, and I'm like, yeah, no, those don't exist. I forgot to tell you, when Saka was on the show, he leans to me and he's like, actually, you're wrong, Paul. He's like, those do exist. I have a few hundred in my humidor.
But they're not for sale.
But I said exist. He's like, nope, they exist. I'm like, thanks, Steve. Now we got to do the commercial. I have to say, other than in Steve Saka's humidor, those don't exist.
Exactly. A disclaimer on that. Thanks, Steve.
So it was really funny. Steve was a great guest. And there's just been all kinds of, we needed a lot of Band-Aids, shop vacs. There was a mini flood in the office side of the studio. There's been
was Stogie Santa around or something?
No, it started. We were doing the construction on the other side where our offices
Right.
are, and I told you I stepped on some nails. Yeah, like 2 nails go through the bottom of my foot. That wasn't fun.
Ouch.
I was
Ouch.
up to date on my tetanus, which is good.
Yeah.
That's a great episode title, actually. And then,
Yeah.
and then there's like everyone just has like all these like cuts and things. Like I sliced my arm and I was trying to fix the HVAC thing, and then I came in one morning and I was like squishing in the carpet in my office because the condensation line had leaked. And the humidors were right there too, so it's a good thing they're coolers and water resistant, which is good. So we had to move the cigars out of there temporarily, which was kind of interesting. And then the guys went and restocked the bar today, so they were all excited about drinking, apparently. So I hope production it's going to go smooth. You might hear some giggling. I was giving lessons on how to make one of my famous Bloody Marys, and then Mark spilled one all over his shorts, which was always entertaining. So there's been a lot going on, Will. A lot going on over here.
I was like, I'm kind of traveled out, right? And I'm like, well, maybe now I got to get up there. I'm like, now I'm gonna have to travel up there because I got to see what this whole the new layout looks like there.
Always hilarity.
Yeah.
Things are going. Things are good though. We're almost done with the office remodel. Thank God. So that's been going well, and we're ready to smoke some cigars. As we've been doing all day today. In fact, we had lots of cigars today. And we're anxious to hear about your travels to Cuba and hear from our guests that are on the show. So, Will, why don't you go ahead and introduce our special guest for this evening?
Yep, we have. Oh, you gotta put the pronunciation on me, but I got it.
I am.
We have Z and Emile from Cordoba and Morales Cigars, who are making their Stogie Geeks debut tonight. I'm very happy to have them on. I've been wanting to have them on for a while. Z, Emile, how are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Great.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for being on. Thank you for being on. I was talking to Z and Emile before the show, and the trade show is actually, I find it's a very difficult time to talk to people. Everyone's so busy, and I didn't really get a chance to see you guys this year at the show, so I'm so glad we have you on right now. It's a more relaxed setting, and we could just talk cigars today, so it's great.
Yeah, we got a rough life.
I saw you walking around, but you were busy too, so I was gonna say hi, but I said no, I'll see him later.
Yeah, it's very hard. And then when and I move very, very fast. I wish I had time to sit with everyone for an hour at the booth, and I don't. So I move very, very fast at the show, and everyone said there's about, believe me, there's like 50 people said we didn't see you. I'm like, oh, I know, my bad. So, but really glad you're on. So thank you for making some time today.
You need the X-Men superpower where you can like move really fast, Will.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking if we could do that, or if that would be ideal.
So Emile and Z, tell us how you got started in the cigar industry.
The brand is 5 years old this year, and it's a long story, but to make it shorter, 5-6 years ago I went down to Nicaragua because my cousin was starting to make cigars over there, and I went to mess around with some blends. I was doing teaching golf at the time. I was a professional, PGA professional. I used to work at a golf course and just teach a little, play a little, and have some fun there too.
So hold on, Z, let me get this straight. Your job before you get to smoke cigars and call it work was to play golf.
Yes.
Okay, just so we're on the same page.
Play golf and smoke cigars.
Yes.
All the time. And actually, the first couple of cigars I made were in a coffin of 2 cigars, and there was a front 9 that I called the front 9 Connecticut and a Torpedo Maduro. And I started selling those in...
That was called the 19th hole.
Yes, the 19th hole. And I started selling those in the golf course, and before I knew, I had like 5-6 golf courses and a couple of stores. And people were like, oh, you need to start making boxes of 20. It's pretty good. And that's how I got into it big time, just making cigars. A few years back, the golf course that I was working at sold out, and they let me go. I mean, they let go everybody. And I decided to put 100% of the time into the business and keep growing.
What makes cigars and golf go so well together? And I'm not a golfer myself, but I can totally see myself like driving around one of those carts with some whiskey and a cigar. Like that sounds like fun to me. But what makes them go together so well?
I think it's everything. You have 4 hours to play around 4 hours, 4.5 hours, and it's wide open. You and the nature, and it's just I think it's a perfect sport to smoke a cigar. I used to always even put with a cigar in my mouth. Though.
It lends itself beautifully.
Always playing golf and smoking a cigar.
Are there like sizes and blends that I know your naming convention kind of goes along with the golf theme, but are there like sizes and blends that you specifically had the golfer in mind, or are they more to be enjoyed on the 19th hole, as you say?
No, you know what? I never got into naming sizes for, associated with golf or anything like that. The first two cigars were the golf cigars, and then after that I did the family reserve Habano, and I never done anything against with golf. I kind of went the other way, more traditional, because my grandmother was a tobacco grower in Cuba, and I grew up in tobacco land, a couple of factories in my town, also the Palillo. We used to have a palillo in my town, and a lot of tobacco growing. And my grandmother, since 1910, had a farm, the family, which she run for a lot of years until almost she died in 1989.
Wow. So tell us about some of your blends. Start with the golf ones, I guess. Those were your first ones, correct?
Oh, yeah. The first one was the Connecticut. It's a Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. And the filler in the binder is Nicaraguan. A little bit of Jalapa, Estelí. The Maduro is broadleaf, Connecticut broadleaf from Ecuador. And it has everything 100% filler and binder from Nicaragua. I have the Habano Family Reserve is also an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper with 100% filler and binder from Nicaragua. Other than that, we've done little limited editions and short run cigars almost every year. Like I have a Salomon shape that has all three wrappers. We have one called a Puro Pinar, which has a little bit of Dominican, a Pennsylvania Ligero, and Ecuadorian Habano wrapper with also some Nicaraguan. Pretty interesting smoke.
It's interesting because I've seen a lot of blenders using the Pennsylvania Ligero. How was that to work with, and what kind of flavor and aroma does that bring to your cigars?
In my cigar, because I tried a few different ones, and I guess you can get different things out. But in my cigar, it actually made the cigar a little sweeter. It had a sweeter aroma and also like a sweet touch notes in the palate that you get through the entire cigar.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception. People hear, Pennsylvania Ligero or Ligero in general, and they immediately think strength. But you're absolutely right. I've found that if it's the right leaf, it can add a lot of sweetness to the blend. So that's a good point.
Yep.
What's the Grand Salomon? That's got all three wrappers in there. Yeah, that looks really cool. How does that smoke? Like, do you really as the person that blended the cigar, can you pick up on some of the flavors of each of those wrappers?
It kind of it's an interesting smoke. It's not it looks pretty, but it's not a gimmick. It's a really good smoke, and it smokes, burns good and everything. But it is kind of like a crazy roller coaster because you do get some parts of the cigar where you taste a lot of the Connecticut, and then Maduro, and it's just kind of a crazy smoke.
It's a nice ebb and flow.
Emile, which is your favorite out of the line, and what are you smoking now too?
Right now, I'm smoking my favorite, our Platino Sumatra. It's a 4-year-old aged wrapper, binder filler in Nicaragua, and it's been doing really well for us. We're really excited about this cigar.
Nice.
It's gonna be medium full.
This is like a year old. We did it last year, and I did a couple of new cigars last year on this Platino band, and it was a little too much. Like I had a Double Figurado, a Sumatra, a Habano, Maduro, and then I decided it was confusing too. I decided to only keep this one, and I also have the new Finca Santa Fe, which when I started the cigar, it had another band on it, but I barely sold a few boxes, and then decided to create a new band and a new look and cedar box made in Miami to relaunch this cigar this year.
And now, are you working with a particular factory or a distributor for your cigars?
No distributor. We do everything ourselves. The factory is American Caribbean Cigars in Esteli. And we have done some little things here in Tampa and Ybor City with some friends of mine from Cuba that very little stuff. I mean, we did like maybe 200 boxes of this Double Figurado under the Platino line. And we work on another one with a pigtail, but very little. Most of it is done at American Caribbean Cigar in Esteli.
Yeah, it's a very good factory, actually. I like the stuff that comes out of there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So do you both kind of travel the country and go on the road show to sell your cigars?
Road dog. Yeah.
We don't have kids. We don't have dogs. No cats.
There you go.
Only cigars.
This is my kid right here, full grown.
So now it's interesting as you go to the shops in the U.S. and you talk with people. What's your impression of people who comment on Cuba and the embargo? And like, do they ask you, "Hey, you got any Cuban cigars?" Because you're of Cuban descent. I know that's kind of annoying for a lot of us in the cigar industry, to be honest with you.
The embargo's lifted.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's not. No, I don't know where you're getting your news.
I get it all the time, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. You know, I like to talk about Cuba and the tradition. And I mean, my grandmother was everything to me. That's why we named the company with her last name. A lot of people ask us, who's Cordoba and who's Morales? And I say, my grandmother was Celestina Córdoba Morales. I mean, so I don't mind to talk about Cuba and tell them a little bit about what I know, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to educate because there's certainly a disconnect from the large population in the U.S. About how they view Cuba, how they view the embargo and all of that stuff.
Definitely.
Will, more questions?
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the limiteds you've done over the past year. Let's start actually with the one you just released this year. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, the two that I released this year was the Sumatra on a 52 ring gauge, 6.5 by 52, and it has a pigtail and a closed hood. And then the Finca Santa Fe is a 6 by 52. Triple cap and closed foot. This one I'm not disclosing everything inside the cigar because I thought we did a really good job and coming as close as you can get to what I remember to be a good Cuban, you know. But it is a Criollo 98 wrapper, and it has a few countries in there inside the filler that we mess around with. That one is all Nicaraguan and Sumatra, Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper.
And for our listeners, like geographically, where are you focusing your sales efforts? Like, where can people find them?
I guess we are pretty strong in Central Florida and North, not at all in South Florida. South Florida is a different market, different animal to crack, you know.
How is South Florida different? I never heard described.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah.
It's so saturated. It's over.
And it's not just that. It's just that in Miami you have to be a big name to have any shop give you a shot. Doesn't matter how good your cigars are or how nice you are or whatever you do. You know, people in Miami sell a lot of bundles, sell a lot of cigars that they know somebody who make a cigar for them. So their stores are focused on house blends, you know, house bundles, and then My Father, Fuente, Padron, you know, the big, the names in the industry. It's really hard to, unless it's a friend of yours who owns a store or something. Pretty hard.
Z, yeah, I just was down in Miami over this past weekend. Paul, I could totally attest to what he's saying. That is exactly how it is. It's a surprise. You would think that's not the case, but it is.
I mean, you can go to nice shops in Miami and try to look for boutiques. Good luck.
Good luck.
Pretty much nobody is. Very little, but you gotta, like I said, you gotta be lucky. Or like I have a couple of friends that this is how different it is. I have a couple of friends that have shops, and I know that if I say, hey, can you put a couple of boxes, they would put it for me. But first of all, I hate to ask for those kind of favors, and second of all, the cigars are not gonna move. So I rather put my attention and my energy on places that I can really grow and people appreciate the cigar.
Excellent. So what do you have coming out next? Are you working on things? I mean, you said you were at the show, so I'm assuming you had some releases that came out recently?
Yeah. These two, but
These were the
after that, because of this FDA stuff, I'm just waiting to see what happens, you know? We haven't brought any cigars after August 8th, so we haven't had any problems. Yeah, I don't even know. I know some people had their stuff hold there for a couple of days, but we haven't experienced anything because my next shipment is coming at the end of September.
And
But-
Go ahead.
Oh, Z, for folks who don't know, I mean, there have been, I guess now, some FDA. I guess what happened is the FDA is now, from what I understand, there's extra paperwork that needs to be filled out at customs. Could you maybe explain what's happening? Because I've heard of some delays right now.
Yeah.
I heard that some of the stuff is like really basic, but because they never said anything before, sometimes us Cubans and Latinos try to be a little lazy. You know, "Oh, I'm used to doing that, and I would never have a problem." So now I guess you gotta have address of the factory over there and a little stuff here and there that you have to have. That is in Nicaragua, it's just like another world. You know, if you've been there, you know. Sometimes you ask people that live there for years, what's your address? And they don't even know the address. They say it's between this supermarket and the next street, you know? So
That sounds like directions in Rhode Island.
Is it?
Yeah. It's like in between Dunkin' Donuts and wherever that thing used to be. Yeah. It's always where
That
like
red
that thing used to
farmhouse
be. Yeah.
With the rooster in the corner, like right at the mailbox. Crazy.
No.
I've been talking too much.
Now, with some of your events, I've seen that you have a roller that you bring there.
No, I actually roll myself.
Oh, it's
That's
you
one
who's rolling.
I learned from my grandmother when I was very little. I always loved it, but after so many years never doing it or anything, I went down to Miami and got a little bit of pointers from a friend of mine who's a master roller, and then just started doing it, you know, breaking wrappers and getting better. I mean, every time I go to the factory, I sit there and I practice and work on it. I never tell nobody that I'm a master roller, but I know how to do a few sizes, you know.
I really like that. I like it when the person who's involved with the brand or behind the brand does the rolling, because I know like Willie Herrera will do that as well. I love that because I know that you're making a premium product and you're rolling a premium product. I think a lot of people, especially in this local area, have experienced bringing a roller and they're not buying premium leaf, right? I mean, It's just kind of okay. So I like it when someone has a brand and has put a lot of time into the blending behind it, does the rolling. For a lot of reasons. Well, one bummer thing is I know that like after you roll it, I can't smoke it right away, right? Because you got to wet it. I got to let that one sit, right? But I love requesting like, can you leave a bunch of wrapper leaf on the end or leave an exposed foot or like do something different with it to have something special. So I think that's a really cool thing to bring to events.
Oh yeah, our events have become kind of popular, you know, in a sense. I'm not bragging, but for our events, a lot of people always wait for the cigars. And through the years, you know, I've been doing it rolling for like 4 years now, and I developed a different couple of tactics, to make the cigar better. Because before I used to do a lot of stuff too fresh. Now I press the filler and the binder, let it sit for a couple of weeks. So when I put the wrapper in the at a show, in 30 minutes anybody smoke the cigar and there's no ammonia, no bad taste because actually the filler and the wrap and the binder have been sitting and they're dry. And most of the time, they get a good ash and they love the cigar. I tell them, everybody, if you want to sit it for a couple of months, be a lot better, but you can smoke it now.
How many cigars do you roll at an event?
Depends how many people are around me talking or they want me to show them how to, roll a cigar. But I would say somewhere between 30 and I've done up to over 100
Wow.
in a few hours. Now, most of these are just putting the wrapper on,
Right.
But still, I've tried to put wrapper on, and I can just tell you, it is a very, very difficult thing to do. It is not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm back in kindergarten and like I'm learning how to like cut and paste for the first time, and it just comes out like a complete mess.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I guess a lot of people see me and they think it's really easy. They want to do it, but when they see how easy it is to tear the wrapper and you cannot pull too much, but you also have to put a little bit because if not, it's too wrinkly and it's just, and the triple cap, because I never learned. I went down to Nicaragua a few times to learn how to do the single, like corrida, the cap, but I stick to how I learned when I was little. So I do a triple cup and cut the teardrop and do everything like my grandmother used to do in Cuba. So.
Did you get this idea from? Because I was just down in Cuba, and at the La Casa del Habanos, they have rollers in the shop that are ambassadors from Habanos. Is that kind of where you got the idea from? Because it's a great concept.
Honestly, I'd lie to you if I say I got it from that, but I do like it. We went to Cuba this year too. For the first time in 20 years, that I left in '94, went back in '96, and this is the first time I go in 20 years. So yeah, I like it how they do it over there. I still think there is a lot of good rollers over there, and they got good tobacco. Just the way Cuba works. Nobody owns anything. There is no responsibility. There is nobody, with love doing anything. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, Z, I saw that in a lot of avenues in different things in Cuba. It's not just, that was a big observation I took back. You're right. There were a lot of good things I saw, don't get me wrong, but I definitely saw what you're talking about.
I bought some cigars from an old man in Pinar del Rio who made all the cigars. He usually makes them for the people in the town, because it's a little town, and we got some cigars from him that were amazing. I mean, really hard to beat. And he was 80 years old, and he told me, "I'm sorry, the cap is not that pretty, and the cigar is not perfect, but the flavor and everything was really, really good, and a good strength too. Not just a bunch of seco in there and puffing smoke with aroma."
I've heard that from a lot of people who visited Cuba recently, and they said that it was amazing. Like the regular brands that everyone knows about are good, but if you can find like the old man in the farm and Pinar del Rio, that those cigars were awesome and the ones that really stood out. Will, you said that, and I know a lot of other people I know that visited recently said the same thing.
And when are you going?
I'm going to go to Cuba and find the 80-year-old guy in the farm to get me some cigars. That sounds awesome.
He's going.
We want to go again this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
I actually, I don't know if you went to any factory, but I went to the Corona factory. I have a cousin him and his wife both roll there. And it's a big factory in Havana, La Corona.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried some good cigars. Couple of Robustos that I tried, they were good. Was impressed though that I talked to, because I took some of my cigars and I gave it to the main guy and the guy running the factory, and he really loved it. He was impressed with it. So we kind of clicked, and I asked him about raw material and all the leaf, how old they were, and they didn't have too many old leaf there. They were working with material, 7, 8 months.
There was a cigar of yours that I smoked. I think it might have been the original Clave.
Oh yeah.
That was very Cuban-esque from what I remember smoking that. That was you don't make that one anymore, do you?
No, that one was a limited run. Hold on.
Oops.
Did we disconnect them? Or did they disconnect?
Yeah, they just dropped off.
I think they hit the
They hit the wrong button.
Sorry, I was trying to raise the volume. Did I hang up on you? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thought you were reaching for the cigar that Will was talking about. That's what I thought you were doing.
Check this out.
She's going to virtually hand me one.
there is this cigar, Paul. I remember I had this, and it was really. I hate using the word Cuban-esque, but it was Cuban-esque.
That's the only box left.
Wow, that was it. That was it. The red box, I remember.
That's nice.
Yeah, I got my hands on some really unique wrapper and used it for these, but I never got the wrapper again to redo the cigar. And some people say just use another wrapper. I say no, that cigar was really close to my heart, so I don't want to make something that it's not like it,
Yeah, no, exactly. Because after that you came out with the Maduro in that line.
The San Andres wrapper, San Andres, Mexico.
Yep.
And this year we also did a new size, a short robusto on the Maduro. I think
love that size.
Yeah, that's a great size. And for that line, the Clave Cubana, that's what is it? It's more limited production, you would say, so it's not a one and done line, right?
No, yeah, that one I make every year. I have wrapper and everything. This is the short robusto. Oh, nice. Look at that.
That's a good size.
It's 4.5 by 52.
Good, yummy, quick smoke.
Yeah, it's box press.
What now?
It's a box press, right?
Yes.
And this box press is a lot better than the first box press, because I'm not afraid to say that making a box press is a lot of work and you gotta know what you're doing. So the first one, where I struggle a little bit, these last box press I did are really close to perfection to me.
Excellent. So if people want to find your cigars, they can go, you said you're primarily in Central and North Florida, and you're located in Tampa, is that correct?
No, Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando, Sanford, North Orlando area. Okay. But there's a couple of our shops locally that do mail orders, like cigarhustler.com and oldtimesmokeshop.com.
And we just got into Corona too, and we are in the catalog also. Hello. But he doesn't have the entire line. He has the Clave Maduro, the Sumatra, and the new Finca Santa Fe. Jeff carries that at Corona.
Sweet. So I will. I'm coming to visit April 3rd through the 5th of March.
All right.
March next year. I'm sorry, March.
April.
Oh no, that's
April.
April. Yeah, no, April. April 3rd. Sorry, March was the month, and it was drifting into April on my calendar. Yeah, we just locked in. I'm going to be in Orlando the 3rd through the 5th. So
please hit us up. We smoke some cigars and hang out a little bit and talk. That'll be good.
Well, thank you very much for appearing on the Stogie Geek Show. I can't wait to try your cigars. I actually haven't tried your cigars, and I will do that. And you'll see some reviews on the show. So I'm looking forward to that. And thanks for appearing. And with that, we are going to take a short break, come back, and hear more about Will's trip to Cuba in our Debonair Ideal segment. So stay tuned.